Boom! Evening, ladies and gents. How are you? I was absolutely scrambling through the door then. I was caught between farm and home. I didn't want to stay there and do farm question time because I got AJ with me, bless him. Oh, crikey. I'm just going to have a moment. I did, however, I poured myself a glass of water, bit dehydrated today, and I've managed. A few are going to love this one if you remember the story. I've poured me Senna Baileys. Why not? Why not? Oh, fuck it. So, yes, what a day it's been. It's been that crazy again. I said you lot are getting away light at minute because I am not putting enough temptation out there in the world. Operations, obviously the polytunnel sheet's gone over today, and we got nothing else done. We've got a lot of other stuff done, by the way. If we got nothing else done, I was going to be happy at that to see it back on them horrible temporary covers off the tops of the ponds and getting to see stuff properly again. That has been an absolute treat, let me tell you. And it's one of them weird things in it, like when you see a room that's not been plastered, you think that's not very big, and then you plaster it and you go, fucking hell, where did that come from? It's pretty much been like that, just as a frame. I thought it looks nothing. You put that on again, it feels absolutely huge. And in reality, it is, but it's weird what perception's like, isn't it? So, yeah, good stuff. And yeah, probably one. I'm going to be jumping on a stream tomorrow because I've got some pretty major updates on a few things. One's quite a big announcement I've got to make. Big one in my life as well, to be honest. I'm not quite sure when we're going to do that. I'm going to jump on it at some point. And we've got news on some more features on the platform rolling out and a whole bunch of things. So I think we'll make that a daytime one because tonight is, of course, your time for talking fish with me, and don't want to chew into that. And then tomorrow night, I'm going to be getting one of those devilish lineups for an auction again as well. And especially now I can see all my rockets again. No holding me back. So we will make the most of that one. That Thursday, Friday slot's been a fun one of late. Been some absolutely crazy stuff. So yeah, and other than that, it's not been quite a lot of meetings today, just in between stuff. On with the lads, still working through stuff. That's quite a bit part of updates tomorrow. Just to reiterate a few more things around where shipping's at and the platform and all the rest of it. Because I do know the message has not got through everywhere right now where how things are working and doing. So what I will just say quickly for everyone, and this is a big one. Obviously, we have overwintering. We set it to the end of March. We never know where the weather's going to be at the end of March. One thing I will never do, and this is why we've given you guys the information and hopefully just then the education around it. On the new platform, you can go in there and see what temperature that pond is at. If I know I'm happy with them fish to ship, you can see where the temperature's at and make your own decision on whether you think it's right to ship it or not at this moment in time, based on what temperature you've got. If you're heated, unheated, I don't know. And obviously what I've done is given advice. I'm going to give a bit more of it in a moment, but you will not have us rushing. I always want pond space, yes, but what I will never do is compromise on everything being right for you guys getting your fish and putting any kind of risk or vulnerability there for you, the fish, for anything. You won't see us rushing it. Because I had a couple more questions today about I've got an event ending this time. Yeah, eventually probably can sync it all up, and we get, that with the shipping costs on the boxes as they are, people want to maximize it, and we will be as flexible as possible. Just trust me, if it ever gets to the point where I think anyone's taking the piss and we can see it, you will hear from me. But other than that, relax and, do things, that suit you and what works for you around that one. I'm not going to start syncing up events around shipping schedules. We're fish first. It's the whole culture of how I keep fish in the business. So we do everything around them, and then we will sort the rest out. So yeah, but just on that one with temperatures for shipping, I have discussed this, but two things to consider. It's going down in temperature is more of the problem. If you're going up, we're pretty chill, unless it's something extreme like 15 to 25. Even that can be done safely. It's just the bigger that gap becomes on that kind of level, there's a risk there that you might, you can actually stress color a little bit and things like that with a really rapid temperature change. So, and it is, a super rapid one. It's a stress factor. It might upset them for a day, but then ultimately what happens is their immune system generally switches right on and you're fine. The problem is going the other way. So hence again why we've put the pond temperatures out there, because we've got to try and find a happy medium in all this as well. With the heavy stocking I'm holding in a lot of them ponds, I don't want to take it too cold because it's going to make it even harder for me to manage as well. So we've had them down now. They're down again. I've updated pond temperatures, most of them today, the ones that count for where they're at, and they're spending a good amount of time at it for me to know that they're happy at them temperatures. So let's say I've got ponds I'm holding quite a lot, around 15 at the moment. If you're unheated, you've got to be careful because there's still fluctuations. We might get a bit of a decent day at the moment and you might be at 12. For me, I think 15 to 12, unless it's a super stable 12, I wouldn't be super comfortable with. I'd want to know, so 12 your base level, and you might be raising a bit in the day and dropping down. So we're not fully there yet. I know we're into April now, but like I say, you're not going to have us absolutely hounding at you to shift your fish. We know it's not quite there yet ambiently. I've got a couple of ambient ponds that we do track. So yes, just bear it in mind. Use the information that we're giving you, and just know, that we will not hounding the pressure on. And if it comes to a point where we feel like it's been a little bit too long, we will reach out. But until we know all the circumstances work and generally will work ambiently, none of that pressure will be there. So that's where I am on that one. And other than that, I think it explains it. If there's any questions on that, obviously do let me know. Other than that, I will go to the questions and we'll have a work through. I'm going to finish my water so I can start on that baler. See, rehydrating first. Crazy when you're that busy, forget to drink. It's pretty much been that way today. Right, let's have a look what we got. Paul Fletcher. Hi, Ricky. If you had, say, 2 grow on 1,000 gallon ponds, both identical, 24 degrees, same fish, same breeder, feeding all they can eat every 2 hours, sake growth in one, balance in the other, how would they compare after 6 months? E.g., yeah, good question, Paul. Body length, luster, color. So I say growth and balance in the other. So my experience between the two, and I believe this will ultimately come because the fat content is very different. And then not only fat, it's when you've got a higher fat count. Is this camera blurry? Seems weird to me. When you've got a higher fat content, and I did clean it before I started that actually. Anyway, yeah, there's a very different fat content, and what you're going to get, you'll get exceptional growth with sake balance. I did it, so I had a batch for when I restarted using it again years ago. Now, I had a pond of Shiros on balance, and they absolutely flew. What I noticed though in ponds, comparative ponds, excuse me, was it's body volume, and that is going to come from the fat. Then it's how fats, carbs, and proteins are balanced within the food as well. And obviously, these guys know what they're doing with that. But the biggest bit you're going to get, you're still going to get cracking luster from using it because you're nourishing the fish incredibly well. You're going to get super length. If you've got that temperature and you're feeding heavy, you're going to get it. The big bit's going to come in volume and muscle mass. Now, from that, don't take from that you're not going to get any volume with sake. We then move to the way I see volume. So when you see my fish and they're like this, proper brick shit houses, that is what sake growth is helping contribute towards that. What I probably would have to do, I'd get them there with balance. I'd probably have to feed a hell of a lot more to get them there with it. That is the difference, and there is a noticeable difference in that as well. It's not like it's a fine line. but rightly so. You know, they're different foods, different prices, meant for different purposes, and you couldn't go feeding sake growth at the temperatures you could balance because of the heavy fat in it as well. So yeah, that's what you would expect to see, Paul. 100%. Mark, if you went to Japan and you had the opportunity to own your own koi business in Japan, would you move there with your family? What would you call your farm? I feel like is that going a bit incognito, trying to get into the plans, into the deeper stuff. I don't think I've had them conversations. You probably, no doubt in my mind, you know, conversations that my wife has no intentions to want to move out. She's never been yet. Who knows when she has been? I don't actually have any intentions on, you know, right now just being there. I love everything I've got here and going on here as well. But Japan is obviously a massive part of my life, and I've not hidden my intentions. I want to become a koi breeder in Japan. That journey has started, but I don't see it as being one or the other right now. I see it as being a dual thing. Obviously, ultimately with staffing within the business, it makes a lot more possible. So, and I have, obviously, it is a way I'm used to working. So obviously, it will just mean more of it, and you know, people in the right places and stuff like that. My time being used most effectively. But yeah, that's I'd never force it on any of the family or the kids, as long as it kind of works the other way and I never get the anchors slammed on. I'm sure we can make it work, whatever it ends up being and looking like. I'm just kind of one of these, you get on with it, don't you, and see what happens as it evolves. But it's pros and cons. I do love it as a place. I feel very at home when I'm there, because I think culturally it aligns, and the way that their population aligns with a lot of my values and how I actually am as a person as well. And I think generally the UK is moving further away from that as well. So there's an element, but ultimately when I'm here, I just live in my own bubble anyway, you know, between generally every day between work and the fish farm and family and business and fish. That's me. So you don't pay too much. And Retford's a small place out in sticks, so to speak. It's not like it's got the same level of feel and influence of big cities and stuff these days. But it is weird when you kind of, some degrees, feel more at home in a different country. But obviously when I'm there, it always has that big part missing, especially on longer trips, that the family isn't with me. So who knows? Like I say, you know, I'm up to something. I've got stuff moving and going on out there, and when there is something to tell, I will tell. But other than that, no. I right now I wouldn't just jump straight out there at all, because I mean, let's face it. Look, it depends. I'm not sorry. It doesn't depend. You know, even if the biggest fish farm just came up, you know, I just don't think it would be a horrible choice. And if it came down to a choice between family or that, family's winning. So yeah, little by little, and let's see what actually does happen and evolve. I know you've already done it, but if you could do it again on your own, this time your way. Sorry, I don't. That's obviously a follow-on from that last bit. What would I call it? I don't think right now, as you get a bit of tomorrow's insight, I think it would probably just wear the same name, Ricky Stoddart Nishikigoi, because that for me is the way this is all headed. The way everything's evolved for me, even over here, in that now ultimately it's koi the way I do it. That is exactly what it's become. You know, I feel like it's very different to everyone else and typical koi dealing and selling. This is koi the way I do it, not just the koi, the whole ecosystem, community, education around it. And I think that would be no different, in my opinion. Yes, come on, hit that button. Andrew's managed to make us join us live. Good evening, pal. What are you most looking forward to this year? Anything and really gets you excited, both here in the UK and over in Japan? The Japan one, I'm gonna bow out of at the moment until there's anything to tell. Like I say, loads of different plates spinning. It's just realities of making stuff happen and time frames and bits and bobs as well. But over here, I think I've already sort of said this. The big one for me over here this year, I think, is the rollout of the tech that's happening in the platform, because not only as I think it's just going to allow me to really start creating the image of the experience that I wanted to build ultimately when I made this transition and started Ricky Stoddart Nishikigoi and Koi Online, kind of jumped out of that shell I'd been in. It was never just, it has to start somewhere. It can't be what I wanted to. And part of the reason I agonized or antagonized on doing it for so long was because I was afraid the kind of expectations of what people would think it might needed to be versus, or for where it was versus where it would be to begin with in reality, because you have to build something again. But you know, in the end, just cracked on. And yes, I've been very open. It's had its problems. We've hit a lot of snags along the way, but even now, with you know, what I'm going to discuss tomorrow, the rollouts, it's all clicking and coming together, and it's quite a thing to be selling koi at this, an individual fish as well, pretty much at this kind of scale, and liaising with this amount of people, you guys, as we do. It's not easy. It's challenging, and I you know, I feel like we communicate a lot. I'm always here, but the message doesn't always get through, and you know, the experience needs to be slicker. And you know, the grow out experiences have been one, delivered fantastic results. Could the experience along the way have been slightly better, especially at the endings? Well, yes, we knew it could, which is something we've well rectified. I've got to get a bit of it away there, but part of tomorrow's rollout of bits anyway. So I think it's the one. And again, you're not going to get too much more out of me, but I know what the rest of this year looks like in that perspective, and there's going to be another major one dropped in amongst it soon, which is going to be cool. So I think it's on that side, because a lot of these things have been, not say the problems in the selling fish have been there. You want to get them rectified and improved upon. You don't just want that to become institutionalized. We never would let that happen, but we know what we needed in order to do it. And then some of the other stuff throughout the year is just going to be, yeah, things I need to get done. So we'll get there with it. And yeah, people wise, obviously Dan's playing a phenomenal part in that, and Chris between them. And that is finally, you know, you get the right people together. It just allows me, you know, I plant the seeds, and those guys, the execution between them has been quite phenomenal, and it's also taken up a lot of my time for input. But ultimately, without them two there in the background, this wouldn't have moved as quick as it has done. So yeah, big part in it as well. The people part is huge. Good evening, Ricky. Well done to your team getting the new polytunnel car on. Great work, lads. Yes, it is. Big one. Very, very big one. And I am delighted to see it back. I really am. Oh, can't beat it. Got a massive ribeye steak waiting for me as well when I'm done. Pre-Baileys, though, before steak. I ain't sure about that one. Now for a question. Do Japanese breeders still follow traditional practices passed down through generations, or has modern technology changed koi culture? No, no. Still, I was talking to someone the other day about the time after all the lockdowns in Japan's, when you couldn't get into Japan. I think it was like 3.5 years, the longest period since being, 12 years old, that I'd been out of Japan. And as soon as I got back, that first day in Nagaoka, not a fucking thing had changed. Honestly, it's like a time warp, the place is. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Fish houses, other than new fish houses, we're starting to see, you know, Oaza's making inroads to actually getting some drum filters installed at the biggest of farms. But no, a lot of these practices are yeah, I mean, no technology is staying well out of it. Well out of it. This is an art form, and it is passed down from them generations to generations, and it's all the stuff. Raising techniques probably a bit easier to learn, but some of the breeding things and parent fish and bloodlines and how they put it all together. The selection is obviously a massive part, but that is training, and that is long periods of training as well. But no, Mickey, it's still a lot, and this is why even like in Niigata's probably worse than the guys outside of there, because Rie always tells me, she says this is Niigata people. It's literally known by Japanese people. Nothing changes. So even like the concrete pond raising versus the mud pond, why there's such a kind of slow uptake and adoption of it. It's it's a crazy place, it really is. Ricky, what's the behavior patterns we should be seeing coming out of spring, which should alert us to potential problems with our koi sign of issues? The big bit, it's all the typical signs. Obviously, your water is one. I know you guys will be keeping on top of that anyway. It could be that your pond, a white clouding in your water is one to always raise some concern that there could be something off with the parameters, or maybe a bit of a bacterial bloom. But with your fish, it's typically the signs of aggressive flashing. Fish do flash from time to time. The way they flash is the concern. Clamping, sitting on the bottom, fins together, you name it, all those type of things. Head standing, tail standing, the list goes on and on and on. So fucking delivery driver, honestly, my wife, the amount of packages turned up, she's away for a few days and they're just mounting. She's been exposed. Crazy. I'm sure a few of you can resonate. It's unbelievable. A lot of this stuff clearly gets moved away quite quickly. So yeah, them signs, let's say fins clamping, just all the typical ones that alert you around parasites. And I think, I say, the biggest one is just being controlled with that food and not tanking it. Consistency is going to be your friend at this time of year, and just being proactive on stuff as well. No, wouldn't improve the good bacteria, but those fish would be so chilled, honestly. So chilled. Good evening. I've heard you say a few times, koi are beautiful. Please, can you explain what you see in attributes when you say this? Interestingly, so I've said this, a lot, and I've said it in relation to one breeder's fish of late, kibbies. And I think that's just a feeling that I get when I look at them. I just think, wow, they are fucking stunning. And it's relating to pattern, ultimately. The quality's all there. The base qualities are all there. And my eyes just, before we can get to that, wow, they're beautiful, it's subconsciously ticking that off. And then I'm just admiring them for what they are. And when you look into his ponds and you see that pattern level, that's exactly what I think. I think, wow, they're just stunning, superb, very attractive koi. And that's not the case everywhere. I'd probably say, Taniguchi is another one I could put in that bracket as well. And that relates to a pattern level. Not every breeder's fish are that way. You take Nogami Kohaku, just reminded me there, actually. We've got a few left. They're going off the website soon. We grow out. But anyway, yeah, they are more one that, size is their friend. There's a few breeders whose bloodlines are like that. And it's nothing to do with how finished they are at any ages or stuff like that. It's all to do with, let's say, pattern style and pattern level. And it is something they can work on in breeding, or something they might even stumble upon, or it might just be in the level of the cull. Because ultimately, it depends how. I was literally about to say that in Japan. In Japanese, kibishi is the word. Kibishi is strict. So it depends how kibishi they are, and with the cull. that's literally it. So nothing major. It's nothing technical. It's a feeling I get when I look at those fish, and I sort of stand by it with them guys, because it's hats off to them really for what they're doing. But it doesn't, the quality's still got to be there to invoke that feeling for me in the first place. Good evening, Aaron. Evening, Ricky. Jim, honestly, your fish have gone out today, mate. That Goshki Sankey. Speaking of Kibby again, fucking hell. You're going to love that, mate, honestly. Absolute banger. Evening, Ricky. Decent size DIY shower. Is it better to fill it to the maximum with media and smash water through, or less media and slower flow? I don't think there's any relation for me between the amount of media and the flow. Depends how you want to run it. Depends how you design it for airflow. If it's just a closed up unit anyway, airflow is going to be pretty much redundant and knackered. So yeah, fill it up, and then the flow really can depend on the media as well. Yeah, I think ultimately, and can it handle the flow? It just depends what you need from pond turnover. It's not a main biological filter I'm taking, it's additional ones. So it's just really not actually that important where you go with it. Do what, if you've got a certain amount of media, stick it in there, get it running, put whatever flow you want over it. If you need more turnover, then put more, use that to put more turnover on. If you don't, you're just wanting, maximum biological performance from it, then, slower is probably going to be a bit better. And the amount of media, go with what you got, go with what capacity you've got. I don't think there's any need to overthink that one. Ricky, what causes Benny loss on a Deutsch Sankey? It's often the Benny itself. Obviously, there are environmental factors that can do it, as in light and stress factors. But Deutsch fish are so hard to read. They are a fucking nightmare. I hate growing them because there's so few. I would struggle to teach you guys the few little things I use when I'm selecting them, because it's trying to really read consistency of color and hues and shades a bit and things like that. Because it's not like with a normal kohaku or a Sankey, we've got the sashi to look at and stuff like that. It's not really there with Deutsch fish, so they're quite difficult. But a lot of the time, it's just color potential within the fish and it being hard to read. You don't often know until you just grow them out, and then you have to accept what comes of it. Evening, Ian. Evening, Ricky. Who would you say is the number one Kojaku breeder, and do you have any? I need some Kojaku. I really struggle with getting on board with what you can generally get hold of. It's one of them varieties where you've really got to go and pay the money. And then availability is fucked anyway. So you are there. It's Kunishi and Omasako. Kunishi genetics quality is superb. Omasako also superb. There's a few in between it that your top tier ones are them guys, but just availability and the affordable stuff often is really kind of, the patterns are shite and they just don't look all that. They're not a great representation of why I would rate those breeders as I rate them, and why I generally tend to stay away from it. Because if you manage to get the stuff you wanted, it probably won't get enough. It'd be too expensive. I'll tell you a good one in between it, or two. Ikarashi Azumi is actually doing a really good job. And that's a breeder I'm going to dive into a little bit more this year, because I think he's really, really underrated. I'm not even spoken about enough. I don't even think he's spoken about enough to be underrated. But he's got a really nice Kojaku line. And there's a few breeders that do. It's just the quantities of them that you can get. And then like the Omasako and Kanishi ones really grow. It's quite exceptional, and the body lines are superb on them. Some of the other ones, like the Azumis, they're never going to grow like the Omasako ones, but they've got nice quality there. A Fuchi can make a good Kojaku, but again, he's got the Beniginga side in there as well, so it can be a bit of a tussle up. Marase has a really clean one, great Beni Kojaku, nice clean color. Body lines are really difficult on him. So there's pros and cons across a lot. It's a very, very tough variety. An impressive one. I love them, and I think one that I'm going to put some real effort into at some point, but I don't know which way I'd go. Maybe breeding them, eh? That might be the one. Just for another show was difficult enough. Might as well stick another tricky one on, eh? Hi, Ricky. How is war in the Middle East going to affect your plans for Japan? Cancel flight hire prices? Yeah, I mean, not cancel. I'm not seeing cancellations. I think the route's all right from what I've looked at. Prices are ridiculous. I mean, it is an absolute joke. What can you do? Or don't get me wrong, I've looked at some of the prices I've seen. I thought, fuck that, the back and forth in I were doing last year, that's going to make that expensive to the point where I'd have to really consider whether it was viable or not. That's being genuine about it. Oil prices over here just as bad. Luckily, the tweaks the plumbers are made, and it's the first time I've got a top up of oil coming tomorrow that's not just been, yep, get it filled up. With my new monitoring on the tank, I've just ordered a specific amount to keep it, keep the base level there and topped up, because it's ridiculous, unfortunately. So we just have to adapt and see how it is, and hope that it changes soon. Evening, Ricky. I have a 11,500 litre pond, submersible pump to a canister filter, and a lot of DIY filters, and using borehole water. I noticed my koi have big red veins on the tail. What causes this? So if you're telling me there's no parasitic problems and your water parameters are good, it may be something you need to look deeper within the water. But other than that, Matt, unless you can obviously tell me all the other stuff's not there, that's the stuff you need to be eliminating first of all. If you're telling me that's just there permanently, you might want to look a bit deeper, because borehole water, although you're not typically dealing with the chlorines, chloramines, etc., there can be a lot of problems with it from metal perspectives. I don't know if you've ever had that checked out. Any YouTube videos on the way with the end growing, the decays and each? Yes. So I was going to discuss this tomorrow. Might as well do it now. You may well have noticed there's been a real lack of YouTube videos out. I've still been recording. Problem was, me boy again. I'm not going to say he let me down. I'm really happy, because I've always known getting him back for the brief period I did was short-lived, unfortunately, because he is very ambitious and his passion lies in cars and whatnot. And he seems to have managed to got something working in that space. I'm very happy for him, but it's just made it difficult to carry on with any video stuff, unfortunately. But I think today found a solution to start getting the editing back underway. And I am actively looking to recruit a videographer. We've actually had the advert out for a few days and been inundated with people. So fingers crossed, before long we'll be back to usual. Actually fascinating, because you might have noticed in the meantime of that side of the channel slowing down, I've probably done more live content than I ever have. Shitloads of it. But unfortunately, it lands in the algorithm in a different way. So not everybody gets to see it unless I then take it and repost it, which I have done sometimes and not had a lot of time to actually do it. So, yeah, that's where we're at with that one. It's all recorded, and hopefully we're going to have it actually working its way through now. And then by the time that's done, hopefully somebody new in place to carry on and get it all back firing on form. But I also think about a couple of community members. I mean, say I'm not heard a lot from me. I mean, between, say, all the lives, being in the groups, active all the time, I think I am being hit and judged by my own mental standards with that one a little bit. And I'm sure a few of you might be pleased with the break. I'm saying that. I know you're all mad anyway, so probably not. Probably the lack of it's been driving you mad, but we'll it won't be long. It won't be long. Jason's got a website question. I'll be tomorrow's live. I'll be able to address that one for you, mate. Mike here asking about supply. Oh, I took that one off yet. So, oh, there. Sorry, I missed that one, Reese. Is there still plans to do? Can I tell you what? I hate myself at times. Yes, 100%. You know, every week it starts. I think I'm going to fucking get that done this week. I don't. I'm going to break my back to get that finished and put that right. Let me tell you. So yes, 100%. I mean, just the longer it goes on, the more indebted to you all I am. So the pile's just going to have to get bigger, isn't it? Mike here asking around the wholesale business. No, so my brand's Ricky Stoddart, Nishikigoi and Koi online, sell directly to you guys now. That is the way we're heading, building out that whole service and experience. Nobody in between. You get it the way I want it to be done, end to end, not just the fish. So there it is. Pierre's hoping for sun over bank holiday. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? I see even that. I forgot. We went booking collections in on Friday, forgetting it was Good Friday. So in my head, we'd still be there anyway, or I'll still be there at some point. So we'll let them carry on. Quality. Yes, it is the plan. Exactly what I'm doing. It's gonna say it's depending on some stuff I've had burning, bubbling away. So let's wait and see. But yeah, it's just something now that hopefully I get to do more and more of every year. But need a few pieces of the jigsaw in place first. Yes, I can't wait for my steak. What, was it a little glass? I don't like one too big. Just from my little ice cube in. It's Midori I need a top up of. That shit's gone completely. Wife normally orders it for me as well. So it's just like to try and keep me anaesthetized or something. Calm me down. Let's have a look. I think this question has been asked before, but can I have too much media? I've got around 600 litres of K1 on Helex with a bay of mountain tree matting and a massive drum and bio combo. Ben, I'm not even going to, I have answered it before, but the thing I want to ask you, if you're still there in the chat, is are you having problems? Before I even answer that, are you having problems? That's what I need to know. Good evening. Good evening. Ricky, a few of my friends and I here in, go on then, what states? CA, forgive me on that. We'll go with USA. Got several corns to grow out a couple of years back. We noticed many of them had gill deformities while other varieties in the same environments were okay. Doesn't look like there is a follow-on from that. That's not something I have noticed that with, you know, some breeders' fish more than others. It's not actually one I've noticed with golden corn, and I've had a hell of a lot of them. If it depends what, you know, environmental factors can play a part in gill development, especially the flat bit. But with some, it is genetic. I was actually having this discussion with Marido and his Nishikigoi, and he pinned it on genetics. So, yeah, environmental can play a part. I'm not saying it's not the corn, but personally, I've had it a lot, and it's really not something I've noticed. Whereas other varieties, it is something I thought that must be something with those. Good afternoon, Ricky. For the first 3 years of having my pond, the UV light was a necessity, and now the last 2 years I haven't used it at all. Not complaining, but what am I doing right? Your pond's just found a nice balance, Matt, between light, probably denitrification, maybe. Who knows? You probably find a lot of ponds will get away with it for a certain amount of time, especially if you're doing things, keeping everything nice and stable and not rocking the boat too much. Light will be a big one. I mean, you won't get away with it in my greenhouses for very long because of the intensity. So I don't know if you've got anything there that's helping you. But yeah, they're not essential in running a pond. But obviously, I would always advise somebody to have one because it can hit you at any point. But when ultimately it finds a balance, that's where you can be. What were the yellow in the pond you showed today? What breeder was this pond? Oh, yeah. Coda. Coda Nissan, I think you're probably Deutz Harawakis. You're probably referring to Pierre. Really tough variety, and Coda is one of the better producers of them, or say the madmen that tries to produce them. So yeah, quite a cool pond, that one. Even though I purchased second-hand Easy Pod that I want to use on a hang on a minute. I purchased a second-hand Easy Pod. Oh right, he wants to use it on a 1,000-litre IBC tank. The system would be used to quarantine 6 to 8 side 20 cm. Ample, absolutely ample biome. And like I say, it's all about feeding. You ain't going to be feeding 6 to 8 tosai all that much. So happy days. And I think, yeah, Ben's reply to us down here. Just to add, this pond is at 15C and nitrite spike. Just didn't know if too much media. It's probably the fact, I'm going to presume here, are you heated, unheated? Have you been warming it up? It sounds like a spike at 15 degrees can be perfectly normal. You ain't getting optimal filter performance at 15, so I wouldn't be blaming it on your media. I'd be blaming it on temperature and possibly circumstantial stuff or changes, environmental changes with that one. Who do you rate for Ginrin Achibi? Had some bangers on some older videos a few years back. Coda's my boy. As you're speaking of him, his bloodline for that is superb. There's other good ones. Kawakami's doing a superb one as well. But for me, I've really enjoyed the Coda stuff. Thinking of going to Japan next year. Do you take customers over with you? At the moment, Dave, no, I don't. It's something we looked at, explored. It's not something I think I've unfortunately got the time for because of my work schedule around that time. Well, obviously we've got a team. I've got people out there as well. So, and I'm just, to be honest, looking at, for me, what that experience looks like for someone such as yourself who wants to go, because ultimately I think you would make your own mind up. But like, buying trips are intense if you're on one with a dealer. And I think that's where a lot of people end up, is on a trip with a dealer, getting pulled around, you know, so many farms a day. And you might be sat there thinking, oh, that sounds great. When I can tell you, even I can get exhausted with that. I don't do it anymore. I don't do it that way. So it really can be exhausting. It's exhausted me in the past. And I think you end up missing out on so much. There's, you know, if you've any inclination to enjoy food, there's so much there to take in, the scenery parts. I think if you're taking that trip over to the other side of the world, genuinely, you should take a bit more of all that stuff in and supplement it with a nice chunk of koi stuff at the right season, where there's a bit of fun stuff as well. Because like I say, especially in the autumn, the buying side of it's like a rat race. I genuinely don't see the enjoyment in it. And if you look at even how I, you know, what I do at them times of year when I'm there now, it's not really involved in that scene. And I'm thankful of that, to be honest. That's not pissing on it, Dave. And who knows where we'll be when you're ready. I mean, feel free to have a chat. But yeah, at this moment in time, no. My missus has just said you have a good voice to listen to. Really? She's one of the few missuses that say that, Terry. Most of them are fucking sick of hearing it, mate. I think the illness has gone to her head. Oh, there we go. She was fed up with hearing you not too long ago. I didn't read it all. There it is. That's more like it. Oh, dearie me. Dearie me. What test do you use to see for metals in your water? And if detected, how would you go about getting those metals out of the water? So I actually use a kit, and what I put everyone onto, Ivario Home Test, IVARIO Home Test. It's the one on there. It's about 130, 140 quid. Test for all sorts, including all the core metals. Now, when you get the results back, they will be in milligrams per litre. They have to be changed to micrograms per litre for a start. And then you need the fish safe value. So if anybody does it and wants to actually have it dissected, feel free to reach out to me and I can help. because you need to compare it, because as it's a drinking water report, so all that will come back on it's actually got a color scale. It'll all be green generally, and you think it's fine. When you convert them all of a sudden and compare them against fish safe values, it's not. So I'm there for that to help out. And what you do when it comes to it is obviously we look to try and you need to determine whether it's something pond based or generally incoming water based. Put the right purification in place and a system in place to deal with it in the pond. There are treatments you can use to detoxify the water, not on an ongoing basis. A good one should get it done initially, and then you make sure you treat the source of the problem, presuming the source is not actually the pond itself. Fucking nose itching again. Hi Ricky, I have a fish overwinter until March 26. I've seen the videos explaining the teething problems with the new platform. My fish is still showing a shipped in progress. Alan, I'll make a note and get onto that with the teammate. Ricky, can you ever see breeders in Southeast Asia, i.e. Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand breeding the same or higher level of quality koi than top Japanese breeders? Can I see it? I mean, they've produced some good fish. I think the problem is, if you ask me deep down, it relates to the question Mickey asked earlier, is that it's the understanding, the depth of understanding that ends up getting passed down by time exposure, for one, for selection. A lot of this as well is the standard in the young breeder's head. That dictates a lot of this, because if some average fish you're producing is acceptable for you, then you're never going to get any better than that. So you've got a lot of that, but ultimately the teachings, and I think this is where the one in China seems to have done really well. But basically what they've done and what sped them up is that they've had Sakai consulting on parent fish and everything. Well, you get that they've just took out a chunk, and I mean a fucking chunk of learning there that everyone else has to go through. And I don't think they have the exposure and the teaching and the quality and the selection so important in that, and the understanding of putting parent fish together and all the rest of it to truly benchmark it. And even this is why some breeders in Japan don't elevate, because that the way they judge themselves and the fish they produce is not based on enough experience and enough exposure as well. And I would say why I think I'm going to do all right with this along the way, and I've had a good start, is because since I started, my obsession was with learning how to select young fish that would become quality big fish. And that is from day one. My first trip with Fujo, when I met him at 13, I was doing Tosai selections, and it just went from there. And then it's not just Japan that's done that. For 20 odd years, I've been bringing batches of Tosai over from so many different breeders, selecting them myself from what I think's right, learning right, growing them, seeing what happens, and refining and going on and on from there. So it's learning and exposure on a scale that most will never get over already a massive long period of time. So the piece, and obviously then the when it gets to the culling at that size, it's really about, not letting stuff go and knowing what's right is important. Bit more refining on that, and it's just mastering the parent fish side of it. But you've got to have the right image in your head in the first place. So like my image with Miss Toyota is, they're probably about there, because I like the style of Miss Toyota, but I wanted that body character. My obsession with that is what underpins a lot of the top Japanese breeders, is that body line. And fucking hell, my God, have they got it. Is there other areas they could improve? Yeah, the pattern style generally isn't probably the most popular, with Kindai being all the rage. They're not a massive amount of those ones, but that's stuff that can be worked on. But what is the image in mind? And it's from there you've got to kind of reverse engineer that image and see where you can get to. And I think ultimately a lot of them ain't got it. For a lot of them, it's just about producing some koi that can sell at local markets or whatever it is. And there's probably some good fish, like there's some bad fish in Japan. There's probably a crossover there where some of them are comparable. But ultimately, I just don't think they have enough exposure or the right standards that are drummed in. if I look at what Hisato Nogami, how he's been with Chikara over the years, I've witnessed firsthand. It's that bit that makes the difference, and the amount of years they do it. The fuck's happening with that camera? I'll just give it a minute. There we go. Right. So once, when would it have been? A couple of years ago now. I can't remember anyway. In the summer again, and I was just watching. So it was final selection when the fish had been harvested, and Sato Chika is there. They both got their job, and even then, again, I see the difference because there's layers to them. Chika is doing all the first bit. There's an element of it his dad's then checking and verifying. Now, what I can't remember the process exactly, but whatever it was, Sato caught a fish and he didn't like the decision Chika had made. And then he caught it again twice in the period of, say, 15 minutes. I'm just stood watching, fascinated, observing, as I like to do. When it happened the second time, he left his spot. He then made Chikara fucking watch him do it for another 15 minutes before he let him do it on himself. And honestly, he weren't happy. He was fucking, I couldn't even follow what he was saying, but he was not happy. It's that level of discipline that I think's culturally more a Japanese thing across the board with these unique things that they do, or crafts. You know, they're craftsmen, aren't they? They really are. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's so endemic within them and their society, that pursuit of, perfectionism of whatever they do. And obviously that filters down. Isato was one of them, Dainichi Obikai, the serious class of them. And it goes down that way. But there was no, that was a bollocking. That was a bollocking. And he didn't give a fuck that I was stood there either. Just not having it. I thought, wowzers. So, yeah, and I genuinely think that is the reason why that level won't get there. And the China thing has had a massive forward step because of Sakai's involvement. Now, Sakai, it's a business. He's a businessman. Did he see it coming? Did he think, I'm just going to get in there first, get his piece? I don't know what the setup is. Who knows? But he has given them a massive, massive step forward in that whole thing, because this is one of them things. It's time, exposure, volume of exposure, and the amount of time. So you just can't replace it. You can't speed it up. Not happening. Yeah, hope that was useful, Aid. Good evening, Norway. Evening, Ricky. Will be moving 9 fish into my new heated 3,900 gram pond on Friday. What advice do you have to reduce new pond syndrome? Warm it up as warm as possible if you've got heating, and add salt. Other than that, there's not a lot more you can do. You just got to, I say, trigger it as soon as possible. If you're not heated, you've got to take it steady. You really don't want to trigger it. You're going to have to be very, very, very careful with the food, because ultimately that is the bit that will rock it. Yes, dog, here we go. Oh, why would you boil me piss with that? At the risk of boiling your piss, any views on fishless cycling with ammonia and live bacteria to help start up a new pond prior? No. If it's the way you want to do it, I think obviously it gets you through one stage with the ammonia. It doesn't help establish a biological ecosystem. You can do that with other live bacteria, not necessarily the nitrifiers. I have mentioned this. So yeah, it's no issues with that whatsoever. Just don't think it solves the problem just because you cycle a bit of ammonia. It takes one step out. We're talking about building and establishing an ecosystem here, and nitrification is just one part of it. Pond is heated. I can ramp up, but to what temp? Filter is new, but I use original K1 and new K1. And there you go. So that's hence why I asked my question, Ben, because I could quite easily have answered that and the circumstances around your situation are probably the cause why you've got a nitrite spike. Is it that new that you've not actually been through no pond syndrome yet? If you warm it up, the closer you get to 22, 23, 24, 25, I can count. Awesome. The more it'll speed up. 25 is an optimal. It'll cycle like crazy. So that's it. But if it's that new, as in new this year, you're going to have nitrite lingering around probably for the best part of this year as well. It's just how it's going to be, and I'd probably be looking more at your flow rates than anything in helping manage that over this year. How often is the new system updated? Have the condo show and split in Pandora? Yeah, I'm looking at stuff all the time. You did send me a PM, Matt. You probably, mate. I've not had a chance to get to him today, and it only takes a minute, and my inbox is fucked, mate. So we will, but that is the point of it. I'm monitoring everything all the time. When anything changes, we can update it on there, and people will know, especially when Dan gets the proper notifications rolled out. It'll be even better. Split fins can take a bit of time, buddy. Talking of UVs, my new one is on my kitchen table, not being fitted, not needed it all year so far. Sunlight's been shit, Terry, on it. Fish feeding all lovely too. I'm on a mission to see how long I can go right this year. Yeah, a bit of sunlight might test you, mate, but let's wait and see. Hi, Ricky. When starting up a new 3,500 gallon pond, how many fish would you start with and how long until you had more? You've got to gauge it by what the pond's doing, Ken. I can't give you a formula for that. The bits I can say is, is it warmer? If it's warmer and heated and you're in control, you're going to have a bit more wiggle room. If you're not, you're just literally going to have to be adding them. And we don't know the sweet spot. You could add 2 fish and feed them a shitload and trigger it, and be up shit's creek, or you could add 10 fish and not feed a lot. Then all of a sudden on fish 11, it'll trigger it. I've seen some madness over the years, so it's going to depend on your circumstances, and you're going to have to play it by where you're at, unfortunately. And I can't give you any more specifics than that. Ken on his fishing his account. I will look into that for you, Ken. Heard an email. Yeah, again, I'm a bit behind on the inbox, so I will get all that looked into. It was that fucked, the inbox, through poor management, not from my side, but without digging anyone out. I had quite cool, actually. I had a chat, an AI agent trawling through it the other day, sorting it. So it's actually got it to the point now where it's easier for me to go and get through it. Evening from Belgium as well. One more then. Follow up on the yellowfish question. What's the difference between lemon harawaki versus kikikukuryu? And what do you look for in picking a good one? So genetically, they're different in their origins. But the main one, just looking at them visually, is that lemon harawaki have a silver / or let's say a platinum base. It's a white metallic base, whereas a kikikukuryu should have that kind of gunmetal grey type base to them. That's going to be your biggest differentiating factor. They have very different body setups as well. When you're picking a good harawaki, it's one of them Deutsch ones. They're very, very difficult to read the color, and they are a fucking nightmare. There is no hiding away from it. Growing them, so few end up looking good as they get big. Big good examples are rocking or shit on steroids. It's just mental. Fucci's actually probably got the best for growing big, but you'll look in his main pond, he'll probably have 2. It's an absolute bonkersness. I thought I got to the bottom then, and now they're all dropping in again. Come on, folks. I'm only doing a couple more, and I'm off to have a mistake. Hello. Does keeping a sun perch do anything to help the koi? I've never heard that one before in the slightest. I don't know what it would help with. So I'm going to go with the latter there. Probably a load of shite, 100%. I'm thinking now I'm at 20C and was at 15C all winter. What are your thoughts on it costing? It's all right. It's all right. I want it. It costing much more if I was to go to 25C in the next week. I just don't think you've any need to at the moment. I think this is where you need to probably spend a bit more time planning out what your calendar looks like or what your plans are for the season and when you're going to hit that spot. Because you want to build into it as well, and you've got to be ready to hit them with the food. You know, growing season, really, you could start it around, April, May. We're in fucking April, aren't we? May. But wait until the ambient temperatures are better. So your heat pump is not working as hard. It makes sense. And probably come May, that should hopefully be the case and be more beneficial for you. This is the last one. Daniel. Hi, Ricky. Is there some fish that naturally end up looking a bit more veiny than others? I have one fish which is just a bit veiny compared to the rest. Yeah, it can happen. And I think this comes down to, again, I might look at that fish and go, there's no wrong with it. You guys do generally spend far too much time with so much detail looking at little things that for me to say a fish was veiny or stressed, I mean, you pretty much almost have pink skin. Some just are a bit tetchy. It could be to do with thickness of shiroji as well. Yeah, I think, Dan, you're just probably coming up against it being a natural thing with that one. That's it, ladies and gents. I'm off, and I don't know what point I'm going to be on tomorrow. It'd be great if you could join me. If not, you can catch up with it after. I could say quite a big one, big change that yeah, there's some exciting stuff to come. Anyway, I'll not say too much more because I'll ruin that. Not that it even means that much to you guys. Some of the rollout bits will do, that's for sure. So yeah, there we have it. I'll finish my Baileys, I'll have my steak and put my feet up for a bit. And other than that, I hope to see you tomorrow. If you can't make it in the day, be great to see you for the auction with whatever rockets I end up with. Oh, and before you do go, so the Nogami Grow Out, there is a video on the channel. There are a few places left in each, and I think a couple of the Tanchos. Don't miss it. By Sunday, I'll be closing and turning that one off on the website so we can begin to process it through. But I think by the end of that grow out, it's going to be some of the best value and best quality Kohaku we've had. They'll be unrivaled. Ooh. So yes, don't miss it. I think we've got 295 and 595 on the two Kohaku ones with two different growing periods, but the 595 one growing through to the end of September for say that was fisherman stuff, weren't it? For a Nogami Nisai, just gonna be nuts. Koionline.co.uk if you want to get one. Other than that, I will see you tomorrow, if not next week, for question time again. Cheers, folks.